wonderful week. Weather's been a little bit up and down this week, hasn't it? But today, or tonight, it's very hot. I'm quite warm in this room today. The temperature on this room, just in this room today, is 28.4. So it's a tad warm. So I'm going to try and get this done as quick as possible so I don't start overheating all over the place and, melting onto the floor like a big puddle. So this week's video is, I stipulated that this week's video was going to be about how I maintain my fry tanks. So, because obviously, as you saw from one of my previous videos, my Betafry can be, or are, very, very tiny eyelash baby fry. And, hello, Pee-wee. Do we think Pee-wee wants food? Pee-wee wants food. Sorry, squirrel. Right, so yes, tanks. So I'm going to take you through what I use to take water out of the tank so I'm not sucking up any babies. How I put water into the tank nice and gently so not to disturb the water surface too much. And then we'll go through a rough timetable, if you like, that I use on how much water to take out, how much water to put back in, when I increase water volume, very quick rough feeding schedules on them. Obviously, all that, the feeding schedule wise can be quite changeable depending on how big the fry get and how quick. I also have up here, which was the last video that I did, you would have seen that I had goldfish eggs. So I use the same principle to take water in and out of that tank as I do with the fry. Because obviously at the moment they're just eggs, but hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll turn into fry. So, very, very quickly, because this will be quite a fairly shortish video, maybe not, depends on how much I waffle, which at the moment is quite a bit. So, the first thing I use is an air stone. So we have an air stone attached to a piece of airline, which is attached to a longer piece of airline. And what I do with this is I use this to remove water from the tank. So obviously, as you know, air stones are designed to blow air through, which then allows out a small stream of bubbles. Contrary to belief, you can actually get water to come the opposite way. So if you drop this into your tank, obviously fairly gently because you don't want to squish any of the itty bitty fry. If you drop this into the tank, you can lay it down or stand it up, it's up to you. And then run get myself all confuddled here. Run the end of your airline into your waste. So whether or not I have a big tub, which is what I'm actually sitting on, or you can use a bottle. So I've got people talking in the other room. So I use one of these bottles because obviously it's quite a small volume of water. So this is quite easy for me to sit on my desk or on a stool or even on the floor if I needed to. So I use one of these to take water out. So literally all you do is you plop this in tank, and I use a ball clip to secure the airline to the top of the tank. And then basically you pull water through the end of this pipe. So once you've pulled water through the end of the pipe, which is a normal siphoning technique, you can, then you can get out it's slow, it's a very slow process, but it's the safest way I've found to remove water so you don't suck up any babies. And also, removing water and adding water slowly is the key to little tiny babies. You don't want to disturb the water too much. So as for any surface, any of the mold or anything that's sitting on the bottom of the tank, I don't worry about that for at least like the first few weeks, simply because you're feeding, or I feed anyway, live food, so that produces less waste to start with. I also like to have snails in my tank to clear up the uneaten food. If you're changing the water regularly, your water quality won't go up or down too quick. It should stay fairly level all the way through this is why we do so many water changes, is because obviously we can't take out the muck and the debris quite as easy as we can, obviously, when they're bigger fish. So I don't worry about it. Ignore it. A bit of mold will never hurt anyone. Honestly, a bit of dirt, it's fine. We don't worry about that. We don't worry about that in this house. It's fine. A bit of dirt never hurt anyone. Okay, so that's how we take water out. So obviously you want to work out how much water you want to remove from the tank, which is what you saw my markers on the side of the tank. So each marker is 1 inch. So I'll take it down to whatever I'm doing that particular day. So say for instance, I'm pulling out 1 inch. So I pull out 1 inch of water and then I add 1 inch of water. So we'll get to the next part. Add in your water. First of all, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you have the water ready for the fry that are in there. So for instance, my beta fry like warm, slightly acidic water. So they like that tanning in the water, just to bring down them levels. So what I do is I pre-age my water. So obviously it's tank safe water, which I pre-age. I also preheat for the fry, so there's no massive temperature swing in it either way. I make sure that my Indian almond leaf tea that I make is in the water already when I'm ready to go. I prep that water. Again, by using one of these bottles, they're wonderful things. So I will, obviously my water will be preheated and pre-aged. I then take the pre-aged and preheated water, put it into said bottle, however much I want. Add in my my Indian almond leaf tea that I make, and then what we do is then we do the opposite. So you then want to put my fry racks are obviously on a shelf, but if you saw, I'll show you this later on. But I have a shelf above my fry tanks, and there is a very good reason for this, other than the fact that I'm short and I don't want to reach onto the top shelf. But there is a reason why I put it there. So this sits on top of the very top shelf. And then basically I put said airline into a bottle, like that, and then run it down to the tank. So we want it the opposite way around. And what we do is obviously we've got said airline. So there's a nifty little trick. Look, we go pop. So you now got the plain airline in your air stone. So we don't need that anymore. But what we do add is we add a small piece of airline with a adjuster tap on the end of it. So we pop that onto the. She says like it's so easy. It should be this easy. It shouldn't be difficult. But apparently I'm struggling today because I've got the camera on me. So of course I'm going to struggle. Right, there we go. Sorted. Half been fixed. So this ends into the bottle, run it down to your tank, and obviously this goes into your tank. Now I like to point it so my tap is either sitting up against or pointing towards the glass. So for instance, don't bite me, Pee-wee. Yeah, so you've got said tap, and what I want is that, can you see that? Yeah. So you want that resting up against the glass. That way then you don't cause a drip into the water, so there's no rippling or splashing. It'll then just run down to glass, and then just trickle in on its own. So this allows you to adjust your flow of your water. So same thing. So what you do is you can open your tap all the way up. This is obviously in your water, so you're all good. Okay, what you want to do is start your siphon off through your tap. Once you think the siphons, or once you think your water flow has started, before it gets to the end, so before it comes out the other end, kink your hose, stops the water flow. And then you can tighten your tap up to whatever you want. So it's just a very slow drip, or you can go a little bit faster, or you can have it as a slow trickle. It's up to you. Once you've got that on, obviously you release your kink, water comes out. Simple. See, it's not hard. It's not hard. If I can work this out, everyone can work this out. Okay, and same principle. Ball clip. The ball clip at this point would be to hold the tap into the tank in place. So then hopefully, it doesn't flop out your tank or sink down too far or. Well, so easy peasy, lemon squeezy is that one. So obviously that was with the betas. Now obviously if it's goldfish, obviously that's not preheated water, that's just pre-aged water, tank tank safe, pre-aged, sat at room temp, because again, I don't want the major temperature fluctuation in there, so I'll just sit it at room temp. So like the night before, I'll get it ready, I'll sit it on the floor, or sit it up already pre-up on the top shelf, and then it's ready for me to go the next morning. So organisation is key. Right, so that's how we take water out of our tank and into our tank. So now let me just put my stuff away, and then everything. I'm dropping things, people. Dropping things. Right, so the next part. Right, so the next part we're going to go through very, very quickly is a rough table that I use for my tank keeping. So this should hopefully, if I'm clever enough to do it, should be roughly here. Now. Ta-da! So what this is basically showing you, it's my table of when I take water in and out of the tank. So obviously we've got water out at different levels, as you can see, on different day periods. We've got water in at different day periods. You'll notice that at certain times I'm only adding water. Certain times I'm taking away and adding water. Sometimes I'm taking away a little bit of water and adding more water. This particular table as well also has, because this one is made for my baiters, so this one has their food regime on it as well. You can make this and change this to fit any type of fry if you wanted to. It is a very similar process, in all fairness, if not identical, to what I do for my goldfish as well when they're in their first, like when they're in their early stages as well, until obviously they get a little bit bigger. So this basically runs on, as you can see, only for a certain time period until they become big enough and strong enough for me to be treating them a little bit like more normal fish. So you've still got the regular water changes, but they're a little bit less fussy, and that they can cope with things just that little bit more. So hopefully we understand all this, and I haven't just baffled your brains with complete and utter garbage, and haven't left you completely and utterly. He obviously doesn't like the little table of correspondences that is here. Look, he's run away from them. Even he can see them. Sorry, squirrel. Right, so let's get on with this. So hopefully now we're going to swap across, or what we are going to do, sorry, is we're going to swap across to me doing some maintenance and actually showing you very quickly how I do the water change on my fry tanks, and then hopefully I'll be able to get you to see the fry feeding on some vinegar reels as well, just to end up on. So obviously that's what comes after our water change, is a damn good feeding. So let's get going with that bit, and I'll see you in a minute. Right, okay, now that I have taken you through the equipment that I use to water change such itty bitty tiny little eyelash baby fry, we're now going to do a water change. So, as I explained before, in goes the Airstone with the airline on. Obviously, we're going to put this in fairly gently. We don't just want to flop it in there. Because, you know, don't want to be squishing any babies. And then we're just going to pop said clip on to hold it in place so it doesn't sort of fall out or whatever. And then obviously, you know, not that you can see it, but we've got the bottle of water that I'm going to be emptying it into. So, yeah, we're going to take it down by about maybe 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches, depending. Again, you want to do these water changes at least once a day. If you can get it done twice a day, then that's perfect. It just means that you have to do less water at a time. But obviously I work and everything else, so And I found that once a day is absolutely fine. So, you know, you do anywhere from an inch to 2 inches and you're good. So I'm just gonna you know, get the water moving from the air stone. And hopefully said water comes out of air stone. Yep, there we go. Perfect. So we've got the water moving out and it's a nice steady trickle at the air stone. So, and it does move very, very slowly. Like I said earlier, it's a very slow process, water changing like this. But you know, the less water movement with such tiny little fry, the better. And obviously, you know, there is no rush really, and this is the easiest way that I've found so far to be able to water change such tiny fry without worrying about sucking any up. So, I mean, as you can tell, there are quite a few in there. So, Mama and a Dada did a really good job. So, yep. So now this bit is all down to me and sheer luck. So, there we go. So I will leave this here for a bit and we'll pop back and then I'll show you what it looks like to actually put water in back into the tank. So, laters. In saying that, I am going to show you this. I'm going to show you exactly how, sorry, camera. I'm going to show you exactly how slow this actually is when it's trickling out. So, let's see if we can stop the pipe from moving. But yeah. So it's not like slow. It's just a nice, constant, steady trickle of water. So yeah, there we go. Right, I'll get back to you when we're putting water back into the tank. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken 2 inches of water out. So the water was here and we've dropped it down to there. So you can see it's just about at the top of the heater and just about at the top of the sponge filter. This is why I cut down my sponge filters. So now we're going to start dripping in the new water. So obviously the water is pre-aged. It's safe to go into a tank. I have preheated this water as well. Sorry. I've preheated this water as well to make sure that it is fairly close or very close to the water in the tank, so I'm not shocking our little delicate fry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what I basically explained previously about the bottle that I use being up above. So let's have a look at that. I'm sure you can understand that though. So there you go. That's on the shelf above the breeding shelf. So excuse the pile of books and other tut. But there it is. So this is why I like to have them on a shelf. So then you've got gravity fed happening. So that's that. So yeah, as I said, quite self-explanatory really. I've already primed the pipe, so we've got a piece of airline tubing with a valve with a air tap on it, basically. And as you can see, that is just dripping like that. Now you can turn it up if you want. The fact that it's sitting like that on the glass, to me, is perfect because then there's no splashing, no dripping going on. So what I will do
is I am just going to turn it up just a smidge. So then we've got a little bit more going on. So that's where I've turned it to, and then it will just sit nicely on the glass. If you needed to, you could use one of those clips again just to make sure it doesn't move from the glass, but this one is quite happy to be sitting there. So that's it, basically. Nice slow out and nice and slow in, trying not to disturb the water, the surface water too much, to create too much splashing, as it might injure the fry. I can't see it doing that really, because you know, in nature it's going to rain at some point, but you know, the least amount of damage to these tiny little fry the better, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, so basically now what I'll do is that'll get topped up until it gets back to its 2-inch mark, and I'll carry on with that for a few days, and then say a few days, in about a week or two, I'll keep going with this level, and then I will start increasing the water level above this. So each time I'll take it up an inch. So what I'll do then is I'll drop it 2 again, but I'll take it up 3 inches, and then leave it like that for a week, a few days to a week, and then we'll drop it down and then go up by 1 again. So we slowly increase the water level until basically the tank is at a good water volume, and then we'll start doing anything from 50 to 60% water changes every day after that as well. So yeah, that's it basically. Nice and easy, no need for fuss. You've just got to be careful and try not to get distracted with said squirrels, and yeah, just get it done. So there you go. That's how I do water changes on a fry tank.
Whew. Okay, I'm extremely hot now. I feel like the temperature in this room has rose. I'm very hot. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Hopefully it was interesting for you. Hopefully those of you that had any questions about it now know and understand a little bit more on what I do and how I keep them. So yeah, so if you have any more questions or comments or anything else you want to ask me, drop it in the comment section below and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Hopefully, fingers crossed, unless obviously something else majorly exciting comes up, I'm going to be redoing the goldfish tank. So we're back to goldfish again for a little bit, because I need to get them out of that tank. Obviously, I want them to grow, I want them to expand, and I obviously want them to have more space. The particular tank that they are in the hallway is actually a temporary tank. Until I could get the one in the living room sorted. Well, the living room one now is finally clear. Everything's sorted with it. So, and I've now have all the gear to set that up. So they are actually going to be going into my 5-foot tank in the living room. So they're going to have plenty more room, and they will have plenty more room for other friends as well. So hopefully me and my daughter can increase our fancy goldfish collection, which, knowing me and my daughter, will probably consist of a lot of orangutans, because you know we are orangutan mad. So hopefully that will be next week's video. So it will be, again, probably a short one. I'll probably time lapse it, because you know you don't need to see me hanging in a tank for God knows how long, because I will need my step ladder, because it's also very tall and I am very short. So the aid of my trusty friend, the stepladder, will need to come into play. But what can I do? I'm sure. So for now, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I'm going to say goodbye. And I'm hoping that you all have a wonderful week, and you will keep safe. And where's he gone? There he is. There's PB. So yeah, I'm going to say bye. Bye!